channel. Check it out. Dan Pierce. Hey,
this is my show.
Now. There it is, man.
We are good.
Okay. There it is. There it is. This is the inaugural episode of The Reading Pile, live at 5. I'm very happy to have this panel tonight. Tony Fett and Rod the Rican were the first guys to have me on live stream, so we've gone full circle. And my boy Tony Doug Wright, I've known for about 2 decades. When he said he was available this week, had to have him on. So
thank you, Dan.
Very excited. Guys, introduce yourselves and shout your social media out, please.
I want Rod to go first because I want to make sure people know who he is.
Yeah.
Come on, really? You gonna do that already, man?
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, man? I'm your boy Rod the Rican from Just Rican This Comics. I do a show every Saturday at 8 o'clock called Coast to Coast Comics. I do a shout-out show on Sundays at 4. And my best show is Tuesday, the Buy or Pass show with Perry and Edwin. That's where we talk about what to buy or pass on New Comic Day. Just a small channel hanging out with other small people and just love talking about comics and have a beer and some whiskey along the way and whatever comes along the way.
Smaller channel. Rod just hit 1,000 followers, so he's big time, baby. Congrats on that, and congrats on the anniversary. Tony Fett, you want to go next?
Sure, I am Tony Fett. I do a whenever someone is available show called the Collection Connection. I usually have different YouTubers on my channel, and we just talk about their collection. It's a pretty awesome show. We just talk books, hang out. It's a lot like Rod's show. We also indulge in alcohol occasionally, but it's a good time. You can find me on Twitter at Tony Fett Talks. It's a pleasure to be on. Thank you, Mr. Piercy, for having us.
Yes, thank you everyone for keeping me grounded and keeping this from being a steaming pile. But Tony, the Steve Warwick interview that you did last week, talk about that a little bit, how that got pulled down. That was a bummer.
That was a bummer. Normally when I'm on StreamYard like we are now, I got a little tune in my earphones that nobody can hear but me. But since Mr. Borak wanted to call in and not do a StreamYard interview, I guess the audio was audible to YouTube. They heard it. And they said, you can keep your video if you remove the music. So I did. And with that, because it was coming to the same channel as the Steve Borak interview, had to yank the audio. So unfortunately, but talking to Mr. Borak right now, we're going to do something cool to make up for it. So stay tuned. Also got some really AAA talent coming on the show as well. I don't want to get anyone too excited and then have it not happen. So
yeah.
Nice.
As a funny note, Tony has a live show right after this one.
Yes, I do. You're right. Oh my! Thank you for reminding me about my duties. Yes, I have another live show immediately following this one. We have Tim the Comic Collector coming on. He is one half of the retro review with Comic Fu. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Sure.
Tony Doug, tell us all about yourself.
I'm Tony Doug Wright. I'm a writer for SourcePoint Press. We're the largest publisher of comics in the Midwest. I am the author and creator of shameless self-promotion, Day 165, supernatural World War II thriller from SourcePoint Press. Also, I am the co-writer of the graphic novel series, The Chronicles of Dr. Death, also by SourcePoint Press, if you're into superhero, crime noir, serial killer stories. And my most recent title, I gotta get into the camera here, Danger Devil. It's a series I created with Joe Hammerly and Eric Roman, and it's a new series that's available from SourcePoint Press. And this is the con exclusive cover by Steve Bryant, who's the creator of the Athena Voltaire series. Dan, you also have your copy. Glad to get it to you.
It's my favorite panel right here. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember when we were getting everything completed, and you just kind of see all these panels come together from pencils and inks to full-on color. That looked awesome.
But it's interesting. Haven't known you for about 20 years. Has it been longer?
We probably met around 95, 96 and back in Dayton.
So this is like history no one cares about, but Dayton, Ohio and Columbus, Ohio, they're about an hour away. And in the 90s, there was a network of Dayton bands that started to get some attention. The Breeders with Cannonball, and then Guided by Voices and Brainiac,
Yep.
and Swearing at Motorists. And me and TD, we road tripped to a lot of GBV shows. TD played in local bands that I went to go and see. And so, yeah, that's our brief history. And then Champion City Comics was your webcomic. When was that?
That launched January 2010, and I was looking to get into the world of comics. Doing some research at the time, I discovered webcomics were becoming a little bit in vogue. It was a way to launch your career, and people were really singing the praises of webcomics at the time. And I networked with artists and writers from all over the world. And by 2013, 2014, we had the itch to start publishing and get something in print. And that's when I was told about SourcePoint Press here in Michigan, which was probably right place, right time situation.
Very cool.
Champion City Comics, that was mostly you and Cav's venture, wasn't it?
Yeah, Cav is an artist from Sacramento, California. We were kind of the foundation, but Joe Hammerly, who's the artist of Day 165 and who's also the artist for Danger Devil, was part of the group. And the Chronicles of Dr. Death started off as a webcomic series. We did this beautiful black and white crime noir. And then Day 165 did start as a webcomic series. It was work of myself and an Italian artist by the name of Giovanni Bellotti. And the pinup here was done by Eric Roman, who's, I discovered he lives here in my hometown. And we've been working together for seven years. I met him on a comic book for hire list when writers go to look for artists to work with. And this guy's like, yeah, let's do something together. I like what you're doing at Champion City Comics. He said, here's my bio, check me out. And he lives in the same hometown as I do. And I thought, well, this is perfect. And so a lot of the work I've been doing with SourcePoint Press started at Champion City Comics. So we've got about, 5-6 years worth of work that we're sending into SourcePoint Press. And it's really paying off and getting us some great attention, great reviews. We do well at conventions selling our comics. And then Day 165 is in its second print right now. The first print sold out. So I'm very excited.
I remember Cobb. Is that how you pronounce his name? I always said Kev.
Yeah.
Cobb. I mean, he's a regular on the CGC boards, and I used to interact with him. And then I got some books from you, and it's like, this is not CGC boards, Kev, is it? And you're like,
it is.
Yes, it is. And I messaged him, and he was like, "Yep, me and Tony we're homies." And it's very funny.
The Chronicles of Dr. Death is just one of a few series we worked on together. And the guy, he's kind of taken a break from comics, but
Really?
I
haven't seen him posting, so
I think he's taken a break from creating comics. I don't know about the comic book speculating or investing, but I mean, he's always buying comics. He's got a great collection, not only of comics, but original artwork. But he is kind of taking a break from creating comics, but he's always like, when I'm back, I'll let you know.
So for Chronicles of Dr. Death, why did you go trade paperback with that rather than floppies? Or is it collected?
We have two stories. So the first one's Dr. Death versus the Vampire. So the Chronicles of Dr. Death is the story of a superhero serial killer. He's a superhero, walks into any room, and he reaches out with his powers, and he finds the serial killers, vampires, and zombies who walk among us. He carries with him lethal injections, therefore the Dr. Death nickname. He's a bit of a curmudgeon, like the TV show House starring Hugh Laurie. He has that sort of like guy that you hate but you love at the same time. You've got that Batman vibe as well. He's been kicked out of his superhero group. His superhero ex-girlfriend can't stand him. He's got a buddy who used to be a superhero, but is kind of working for the mob. They're running into vampires and zombies. But it would work better as a graphic novel because Dr. Death versus the Zombies, a 36-page story. Dr. Death versus the Vampires, 36 pages. Dr. Death versus the Zombies, 156 pages. We thought of doing one-shot trade paperback and just get it out to the people. I think we kind of decided that the points where we wanted the story to end probably wouldn't be a good spot for the stories to end. So the flow of the story works better as a trade paperback.
Cool. That's interesting. And so, I mean, this is a kid's comic. Why'd you go that route?
When I started Danger Double with Eric Roman, I had this idea for like this John Hughes type teenager story, and he politely vetoed it, which a few other people did. It was called Phoebe and Eddie. It was a webcomic I did with a guy from Springfield, Ohio by the name of Joe Pruitt. It did all right. It kind of bombed with some forums, but that's all right because you're going to bomb from time to time in your work. But we're very proud of it. And I kind of pitched it to some other people. The first person I pitched it to was Giovanni Bellotti. And he said, let's do a webcomic about war. And that became Day 165. Then I pitched Phoebe and Eddie to Eric Rome. And he's like, let's do something pulpy, superhero style. And that became Danger Devil. Danger Devil actually started off as a webcomic series called The Red Devil. But it wasn't based on any sort of golden age or I guess you would say out of print type character where it's fair use. It's an original character, but we felt with the name The Red Devil, there could be some legal loopholes or sort of some hurdles to deal with because you have that kind of name could be copywritten. So we changed it to Danger Devil. It was just like, okay, we got to change the name of this comic. And the reason we did all ages, Eric and I both have kids, and we thought, let's get a comic book for our kids to read. It has that feel of Saturday morning cartoons, the 80s Saturday morning cartoons that we all grew up with. And also with like some Silver Age, Golden Age kind of stories as well that we all love. The great storytelling mixed with a little bit of pulp. And it's a ton of fun. And that's what we wanted to go with Danger Double.
I mean, that's pretty neat that, you do it for all ages, especially for kids, because there's a bunch of kids out there that will watch, our stuff, and you put out a comic book for kids, they're gonna dig in and read it too. So it's nice that you did that. So
that's true. And Chronicles of Dr. Death is more of a mature sort of Vertigo type title. Day 165 is a little bit more PG-13, maybe R-rated, but we wanted to do something that was all ages, get people to remember why they fell in love with comics, because we all fell in love with comics when we were kids. You go to the store, the supermarket, newsstand, you get your comics. It's all cool stuff. And I just kind of wanted something that my kids could enjoy and have a good time with.
How old are your kids?
My son, he's 12. My oldest daughter's 9, and my youngest daughter's 4. So they all like comic books. I mean, my son got into the Larry Hama G.I. Joe, loves the old school Batman stuff as well.
Really? He likes Larry Hama. That's one of your influences.
Yeah, that's of all the comic books I read back in the day.
Is he going through your stuff? Are you turning him on to your stuff?
My son?
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of...
Well, when I say your stuff, I mean like your back issues, your comics, as well as what you're publishing, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. My kids have an interest in what I do, and I think Danger Devil's something for my younger kids more to read than, let's say, the Chronicles of Dr. Death or Day 165, just because it's got a little bit more of a mature edge to Day 165. But yeah, my kids love comics. And of course, if you're looking at that age group of kids in middle school and junior high, they're the ones that are really pushing the graphic novel market with like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Dork Diaries, Captain Underpants, stories like that, which are really pushing the graphic novel market. Now, Marvel DC have a strong hold on the floppies at about 65-70% of sales. But if you go over and look at graphic novels and the way the sales are going, it's a whole different ballgame.
It's good to start them young too, to ensure our hobby continues forth into the future. But that's cool that you have kids at a young age that are interested in not just books, but they're also interested in your work a little bit too. That's kind of neat.
And the majority of the stuff we sell with SourcePoint Press, we got to go to cons. And when you're at a con, you're
sure.
going to parents with their kids as far as the books. And usually it's the parent wants a book, but they also want a book for their kid. And they're always kind of saying, I don't want this in a comic book. I don't want this in a comic book because my kids, even though some parents let their kids read horror stories and stuff like that, there's other parents looking for something more all ages appropriate. And, we do really well at conventions, and having something like Danger Devil really brings families to the table to sort of get a little bit of what we've got at SourcePoint Press.
Yeah, TD, I thought Danger Double was very cool. I told you it immediately reminded me something of like a Super Dinosaur from Robert Kirkman, which is I think that's high praise. And I mean, so
I have not read it, guys. I'm
props.
sorry. My LCS didn't have it, so I had to tell them to put them on the list or something. And my apologies for that, man.
Oh, no. Danger Devil is just convention exclusive right now, but it'll have a different cover next year. But that'll be for the Diamond distribution, which I think will be somewhere between August and September 2020.
Okay.
So Source Point Press is a good, I mean, they've got a ton of titles locked and loaded, ready to go for your local comic book store. I mean, they've been doing really well. Titles like Ogre and Dead End Kids, Samurai Grandpa, for example. When people hear,
great read.
yeah. Frank Gogol, who's the creator, and Samurai Grandpa, that's been a big seller too.
That's a big one.
Those titles, The Rejected, another trade paperback, that's been a big selection for people who are.
Give me.
That's
how my wife poured my beer, guys.
Oh, well.
There's like half the glass left.
She wants to keep you behaved. You know.
She just took it with. I was like, wait a minute, I should have been using this Corona bottle here. I was like, get my glass cup, and she just goes, blom, just drops it in there.
That's a great PBR. That's a great PBR glass. Back on they are keeping Sean Daly busy, aren't they?
Yeah, he's been one of those artists. Yeah, he's one of those artists that you see him on Ogre, you see him on Samurai Grandpa. I mean, he's doing all kinds of work. I want to say he did something with The Rejected, maybe the second cover variant.
He did The Rejected too?
What'd you say?
He did The Rejected too? One of the covers?
He might have done a variant cover for Stan in the second story.
Okay. But when we were talking on our test chat, I said I liked Ogre's, or I said I like Samurai Grandpa better than Ogre, and did not realize it's Sean Taylor doing both. So, and Ogre's is coming back, so that's exciting.
Yes, yeah, that's one of those stories. We go to cons, people talk about, oh yeah, I know Ogre's, or they're talking about Dead End Kids or The Rejected. Comic book speculators and investors love those titles because Source Point Press has a lot of variant covers and also quite a few limited edition or limited print series.
Yeah, I mean, speaking to speculation, the Source Point Press books, when they come out, like the first week, if you're quick on the draw, you can flip them for $20. And
you were the one that was telling me Day 165, the first print was selling well.
Yeah,
and I had never thought to go check eBay to see how it was doing, but it's still selling out there on eBay.
The second print is still in print, but it was one of those Source Point Press books that sold out quickly. And and you can get to cons as well to get the Source Point Press titles. We hit about 60, 70 shows a year. They did their first European shows this year in Ireland. They did 2 shows in Dublin. So it's been great. Rod, I wanted to ask you why the Flash? I've never heard that story. Why is Flash your favorite character?
Flash, because I always think if I could always go back and fix things in time, would I do it? Or
there you go.
There's a few things I would like to fix, but then I always say why? Then why? Because then I would never have my wife and stuff like that. So it's like I always wonder, man, what would I fix if I was to go back in time? But what are the consequences afterwards? So I don't know, it's just one of my things where it's like I wish I could go back and bring mom, but it's like, but it's stuff like that, and that was one of the first comic books I picked up when I got back into collecting. I got back in collecting about 2016. I've told the story before. Our house got broken into. It took a lot of stuff, and I told my friend before all this happened, I said, you know what, I want to get back into comic books. And I gave him my collection, which was not many books, but there was a lot of older stuff, the first appearance of Carnage and stuff like that I gave to him. And I just told him, I want to get back into it. And not even a month later, that's, things happened to the house. And I was like, you know what, I need to clear my mind. So I told my wife, I said, I want to go to the shop. I want to go buy some books. I said, how much could I spend? Not knowing the prices, They were not, $1.25 like back in the day, or $1.50. She was like, take $100, $150. I was like, no way, no, I'm not spending that amount of money. And I ended up spending about $150. Just bought a whole bunch of the Flash Rebirth, and everything took off after that. And now it's like she knows the schedule is like, we're gonna go to the shop. What we're gonna do? Let's do something. It's like, I see her today. So we went grocery shopping, and as we're going, past Walmart and all that, she was like, we're going to the LCS, and I wasn't feeling good. This morning I've been like, felt sick all day until like right now. And she was like, we're going to the shop. I was like, yeah, we're going in, and bought some stuff, and I'll show the ball later on tonight. But that's how I got into the Flash, man.
Speaking of the prices of comics, it is crazy. So we're like $3.99, $4.99,
Well,
$5.99 on some first issues, and on event books like $8.99. God, I hate that.
$9.99 sometimes.
yeah, especially if you get you're talking like books like this, $5.99 for the Joker, one Jeff Lemire is currently on.
What did you think of that, Tony? Have you read it yet?
I haven't had a minute to sit down, but I thumbed through it, and I'm pretty excited about it. There's some panels I definitely want to check out.
It's very good. The artist, she alternates between a photorealistic style and then like more of a cartoony comic style, and she does it very deftly.
Yeah,
I liked it. I liked it. Rod, that Joker Harley book. Have you read that yet?
I have not, and I have it still here. And I just
have you read that? Have you read that, Tony?
I have. It's in here somewhere. I have. I very much enjoyed it.
Oh, hey, will you open in one of your gun safes?
No, the gun safe's on the other side of the wall.
Okay.
This is the my giant fireproof file cabinet that holds several thousand comics. I thought that I had one handy. I was going to grab it, but I don't.
How fireproof is that? Let's find out.
It says it's good for like 3,000 degrees. So that's no thanks. I don't want to find out. I mean, that'll roast a couple of marshmallows, I'm sure.
But that Harley Joker book, it's good, Rod.
It's very good. I definitely recommend it. Yeah, that's the one.
Have you read it, Tony?
Yes.
No, Tony D.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We have another Tony. Bizarro Tony, you go.
Okay, Bizarro Tony. Actually, no, I haven't read that yet. It's been a while since I've got into the DC Marvel stuff. Been mostly hanging in the Image universe. So, but the last time I was reading Batman, I think this is going to date me. Grant Morrison was writing it. So, and then with the Flash, I got back into comics when Jeff Johns was doing that great run on the Flash.
Okay.
So that shows like 15, 16 years ago, when I was solid Marvel DC, but now kind of doing more Image and just picking up a lot of independents, hitting cons and doing stuff like that.
I've always called Tony Doug TD, so that's how we can keep the Tony straight.
All right, that's all right.
We got Tony Fed and TD. It's like, TD, what's going on, man? What are you doing today, bro?
That's how it goes.
Lost my train of thought. Someone else, please help me.
There's a bunch of people in the chat, man. There's Gamma Ray Comics in the house. Rob Worth in the house. Thank you guys for just hanging out with on this first show. It's pretty neat, man.
Inaugural episode. That's right. Rob Worst won the forget what channel he was on, but he won that competition where they had 30 seconds to find the book, and they vote on the book, and he has to go back and defend his title. So definitely keep an eye out for Rob Worst content in the future. He's killing it.
Yeah, I've been checking Rob's stuff out. Not Near Mint, is that it?
Not Near Mint is his weekly, this is what I picked up show. I think. Don't quote me on that. Even though he was on my channel and we talked about it.
Hey, and you were in Perry's chat last night, and you were just in Wonder Woman a little bit.
I was. You know what?
Call you out on that
I did. Maybe it's because I know who G. Willow Wilson is. I didn't read any of her stuff until she came to Wonder Woman. I can see the draw, not necessarily my cup of tea, but I've continued to buy the book.
No, I'd agree with you. The book is hit and miss from issue to issue. Like they've been like on this. Steve Trevor is feeling jealous and unattended to, so it's just.
But
like,
the annual cover by Tyler Kirkman is really good.
I passed on that just because it's an annual, and the DC annuals are usually so crappy.
I'm a completionist. I gotta get them all. If it's in my pull list and there's an annual for it, got it.
But Tony, you're mostly a DC guy, or are you?
All DC. I have literally my giant sundae of DC and maybe a sprinkle or two of Marvel. It's just how I was introduced to comics. Didn't really know about Marvel until I got older, and by that it was already too late.
Wow, no Marvels on your pull these days.
Not a single one. I have no Marvel. I haven't had a Marvel pull list on my book ever since I've ever had a pull list. I've never had one.
I thought I was a DC homer, but it's you.
What TD? What do you have on your pull list? I know you said you're mostly independents now, but I'm sure you've got a deep love in your heart for some characters. What are they, and are they on your? Do you still read those books?
I mean, I'm still reading books. I mean, we were talking about Jeff Lemire earlier, and Descender is a great story. I mean, that's been one of my favorites. He also does Royal City, which is a series I really liked. Also love Grass Kings. That's a great series.
Yes.
Really like that one. Just been reading some stuff from my people at Source Point Press. Loving stuff like Samurai Grandpa, Ogres. The Damnation of Charlie Wormwood is a really good graphic novel series that was edited by Mark Wade. One of the writers is Christina Blanch, who has a comic book store in Muncie, Indiana. So she's part of the Source Point Press family as well.
Very cool.
But I pick up a ton of comics at cons, meeting other independent people. Andy Bennett from Columbus did a pretty good series with, I don't know if you know Bela from the GBV crowd. They did a pretty good series kind of based on remembering rock and roll record stores.
Say again, Tony Doug. Who
Bela, I can't pronounce his last name. Bela Crumpsher. I don't know his last name, but Bela, who was part of Crying Your Knife Away. That's just a really bizarre Guided by Voices reference, but he works with Andy Bennett, who's an artist up there in Columbus.
Yes. I follow him on Instagram. He's very good.
Yeah, I just picked up Memoirs of an Angel by Louisville artist Brian Rodman. He's got a trade paperback of that out, doing some independent work on his own. Just been reading stuff, more Source Point Press stuff like, Salvagers, Ogres by Bob Sally. Like I said, Charlie Wormwood, if you're into Orange is the New Black or Breaking Bad, you'll love that series. It's about a guy who goes into a prison to earn some extra money as a teacher, but gets caught up in the drug trade. So that's a really good story. It's like you're getting cued off in the Oscars. Music. Right? I also pick up a lot of books at my library too. I mean, they've got an amazing trade paperback collection.
That's awesome. That's really cool. You don't see that a whole lot.
Yeah.
Especially in my area, there's like no graphic novels, and I live in a major metropolitan area for my state. There's no graphic novels in the libraries.
I'm right outside of Kalamazoo, Michigan. Their library has an amazing graphic novel collection. Where I'm in Portage, Michigan, they've got a really nice graphic novel, and they've got a ton of manga, but they're hitting they're checking all the boxes for Marvel, DC, and independent comics. Got really into Jason Aaron's run with Star Wars, which I'm a huge fan of that. Love all the work he's done with the Star Wars universe. So I'm just really lucky to have a great library here in Michigan where they have nothing but love for independent mainstream comics.
TD, speaking of Michigan, Source Point Press is based out of Michigan, aren't they?
Right.
Yeah, they are a true Midwest success story.
Yeah.
You never would guess that. They have a national presence, if not a global one.
Working at cons with them, they have a huge fan base in the Detroit area. You go somewhere like east side of the state, I'm on the west side, and when you're on the east side of the state, you're going to find a ton of people loving Source Point Press. But, you go to shows, Chicago, done some shows there like C2E2, you're going to find some Source Point Press people there. And It's really cool. I've done a lot of shows like Miami, was in Albuquerque a couple months ago, meeting new fans, but it's always great to meet people who've heard about us. And when I got into doing print comics, that was the first place someone said you should talk to, and sent some emails off to Travis McIntyre, who's the editor-in-chief and CEO of the company. And we just got the ball rolling. They released Day 165, then it became Dr. Death, and then it's Danger Devil. So it's great working for him. And there's a ton of stores up here in Michigan and Indiana and Ohio that are doing a great job supporting our comics.
Now, I know your current book is con exclusive, but can I get like another print maybe off of Source Point Press, the website?
We're starting with the cons first.
Okay, so it is legitimately con exclusive. Okay.
It's legit con exclusive because we printed about 250 issues. We just did something at the Comic Signal, which is my favorite comic book store. It's right outside Grand Rapids, Michigan. They had one of those Halloween special events. We had the free comic books, and Danger Devil was on sale there. Source Point Press had another sort of kids-like comic book, The Adventures of Cthulhu. I think it was Cthulhu Jr. and Dastardly Dirk. And of course, with Free Comic Book Day, if you remember, Source Point Press had a huge success with the comic book series Hope by Dirk Manning and Kaylin Smith. And that's another one I've been reading, and that's a really good series.
This is kind of a funny aside. I remember when Day 165, Second Britain came out. I emailed the local comic store by my house and I said, "Can you pull that for me?" And they did, but when they gave it to me, they were like kind of irritated, and they were like, they gave me a copy of previews, and they were like, "If you want stuff like this, order it. Here's your free copy of previews because people want to buy this." So hey.
They were annoyed that you got Day 165?
No, they were annoyed that like I didn't pre-order it.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay. Yeah, we've had quite a bit of success with Previews World, and especially like you guys were talking about with Dead End Kids. That one went bonkers this year as far as all the variants and issues. I think it was 1 through 3 sold, very well.
Yeah, I had something lined up to do an interview with Frank Gogol, and Saturday came, and then he was sick, and it was it was a few weeks before Dead End Kids dropped.
Oh man!
And
get him back.
Yeah, we email each other off and on, and he's
good.
He still wants to. We're gonna do it. It's just that he's just busy, man. This book, he hit a home run with it, and I'm fortunate enough. I got my copies, and he actually sent me a signed one, which was pretty neat. So,
yeah, we were at the Florida SuperCon together in Miami, and he was really doing a good job promoting that book. He was also selling his anthology Grief, which was up for a Ringo Award at the Baltimore Comic-Con, which is great. I mean, having Source Point Press being part of the Ringo Awards is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I mean, yeah.
So you mentioned Image Comics. Just curious, are you reading Middle West?
No, I haven't had a chance to jump in on Middle West yet. I'm kind of picking stuff here and there. Man, I got to really get back into my local comic book store and start pulling some more titles and getting caught up with stuff, because sometimes when I'm caught up at the library, people are like, "Oh yeah, that book was out 2 years ago, dude. You're way behind." I'm like, "All right, guys, I know."
Life gets in the way. Life gets in the way.
Yeah.
I gotta read all this, man. I'm so far behind on reading. It's not even funny, man.
Last time we talked, TD, you were reading a ton of stuff. Southern Bastards.
Southern Bastards is a great series. I'm behind on that.
Yeah.
That's Jason Aaron, right?
Jason Aaron.
That's Jason Aaron. Yeah, great series. Trying to remember what else we were talking about back in the last time we talked.
I brought it up.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I'm heavily medicated. Speaking of people,
you like Jeff Lemire, Royal City. I'm like telling you what you like. You like Jeff
I was like, sure, you like this and you like that, and you're going to read this and you're going to read that.
Farmhand was. I read the first couple issues of Farmhand. That was great, and I think that's going to be an AMC show next year or something. I've seen stuff about that. So,
Rod, you're still digging Oblivion Song?
Yeah,
it's up to issue 20 now. I stopped at 10. But I dug it. It's Robert Kirkman.
That book is still on fire.
Movie coming out next year, so
Y'all are both reading it? You reading it too, Tony?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I am. I'm still caught up. So yeah. What'd you say, Ray? I think you're 20 now. You're right. Yeah. I've got 20.
Yeah.
But yeah, that book is it's still hot. It's unbelievable how an independent can be that. I mean, it's good to see an independent book be that mainstream for so long. Partially, I think because it has some of the talent from The Walking Dead in it, but it's still good, and that's something I do enjoy seeing.
And it's got.
Dan, I'm sorry, but I'm
gotta
gonna
go.
go spend time with the wifey. She just shot me a text and said I'm leaving soon, so I gotta go. She's gotta go take care of mother-in-law.
Thank you,
who's
man.
been
I
sick.
really appreciate you being on the inaugural episode. It means a lot to me, man. You're one of the first people to have me on a streaming broadcast, and I'm gonna check into Coast to Coast Comics tonight. And
Yeah, man, you guys
There
want to
you
come
go.
on? Feel free to come
Hopefully
on. QD, nice to meet you, Tony.
Nice to
Man,
meet you,
I'm
Rod.
telling you, I gotta come on your channel, and I apologize. I know it's been a while, but
There's absolutely no need to apologize. You're welcome whenever you got. If you want a 15-minute episode, I'll talk to you for 15 minutes. It's all up to you, man.
Rod, you're a legend. Congrats on the 1,000 subs. And,
If no one ever.
congrats on the 5-year anniversary too, man.
Yeah.
all right, thank you, man.
I'm hitting my
Nice to
50s.
meet you, buddy.
Me, you.
Peace, bro.
Peace.
And then there were 3.
Yeah.
Survivor.
2 Tonys and a Dan.
Yeah. Maybe that's the new title of Dan's cool show, 2 Tonys
There
and
you
a
go.
Dan.
2 Tonys and a Dan.
But I do want to recommend something real quick. Is the Sandman Universe Constantine Hellblazer DC
Ooh.
Dark label. So if you're a fan of Neil Gaiman's Sandman Universe and John Constantine, this is the book for you. It's pretty good. I definitely recommend it.
Very nice.
Now I know you're big into the comic book community, but you're a fan as well. What are you most excited about in your current issue, your comic book? What is it the most exciting thing about its future for you? Is there? I know you can't talk, where you want the story to go or whatever, but there's got to be something that keeps you going. Otherwise, you would have stopped by now.
It's just the people I've been working with on Champion City Comics through SourcePoint Press. I mean, we've been working together. Actually, Joe Hammerly, who's the artist for Day 165 and Danger Devil, he's my cousin, and we've been working together on comics since 15 years, about 15 years
Wow.
together.
Very
So
cool.
we were doing stuff together, just trying to pitch it to, big publishers. And we finally got with SourcePoint. We finally did webcomics, finally got with SourcePoint Press. Danger Devil, we've got 3 issues, all about 28 pages each. Kind of like to give the people a little bit more than the usual amount that you get in a floppy. But, we've got issue 2 in the works. We've got about 9-10 pages, and it's looking really awesome. And working with guys like that, when you just surround yourself with the right people, you're always.
I'm sure
motivated.
things just start clicking once you get the right people in the right places. It's not really work anymore. Now you're hanging out with your friends basically, and it's not so much work because it just moves so easily. But that's awesome. Yeah.
When you work with SourcePoint Press and you're doing conventions, when you see new comics from other people, what you do is that gets you motivated because they've got a great comic book, and you're like, oh wow, man, I'm gonna try something like that.
So I'm sure you've been to like a ton of cons. Have you ever had someone ever asked you for an autograph at all? Have you?
I mean, I'll say I'll sign my comic book for you. I throw that in.
Okay.
Jokingly, like comic book's worth $5. I'll say if I sign, it'll be worth $4.99. But but I don't think I'm at the point of autographs. But people definitely want comic books signed. People are pretty particular about where you put your signature, if it's the interior, exterior cover.
I know. I get it. That's nuts.
You're using a Sharpie, or
what color the Sharpie is. Yeah.
People are kind of like, oh, wait a minute, what are you doing? So, but working with SourcePoint Press, I mean, it's been great, and we've got a ton of great fans who follow us to certain shows, and we meet new fans. They're always looking for sci-fi, supernatural, horror, fantasy titles, superhero stuff too.
Are they taking SourcePoint? Are they taking submissions for any future or wannabe writers and artists out there?
There's submission information on their website, sourcepointpress.com. You can learn more about the company and see what they're looking for. I think for me, the best bit of advice I can get to someone, if you see them at a show, you do have a comic book, but it's complete, get it to them and show them. Maybe you self-published it and maybe you did something on Kickstarter. Maybe you just, saved all your pennies and printed something yourself. Show it to them. Show them what you've got, because from what I've learned, it's okay to have an idea. It's all right to have a script. But if you've got a completed graphic novel, you've got a completed, even just a one-shot floppy, you're gold. I mean, people are going to take a look at you and say, hey, you've got something. But, go out to cons, meet the independent publishers, see what they're looking for. Talk to the people who kind of make things happen and just go from there. I mean, because we were doing webcomics for 4 years at Champion City Comics, and it finally turned into comics in print, and love working with SourcePoint Press.
That's good. It's good to hear that they, they're always looking and they take care of the talent they have, especially for retention. But that's good news. But what's your favorite local show where you're at?
So I'm on the west side of Michigan. Some of my favorite shows are the Grand Rapids Comic-Con. I remember attending that show its first year, and it was in this sort of like multi-purpose, like homeschool facility. And there were too many people in the building. It was like a fire hazard. There were I think they said there was like 1,000 people waiting to get in outside. They moved to another venue. Now they're at a really nice venue. It's one of the most awesome Comic-Cons in Michigan. It's a great show. Been to C2E2. That's a great show in Chicago.
Yeah, it is.
I got to check that out.
I highly recommend C2E2. I mean, if you're going to go to one of the top Comic-Cons in the U.S., go to C2E2. That's an amazing experience because it's a steady crowd all 3 days. And when I was there, they had like a Guardians of the Galaxy set up behind us, and some of the actors were there. Robert Kirkman had something. Archie Comics was next to us. I mean, we were in a great location. Gem City Comic-Con in Dayton, because I'm from the Springfield, Ohio area. I got to get to Columbus, hit a Wizard World show or something.
Don't do Wizard World. We can talk about that momentarily.
Oh, they're good shows. I've been to Wizard World Boise, Wizard World Madison, Wisconsin, and we did very well. Great people at the shows. I know Wizard World gets a little bit of a bad reputation from some people, but all the shows were great.
Well,
we had fun.
Let me break in then. I mean, I have no prejudice towards Wizard World. I just want to go to a con. A lot of local vendors, they hate Wizard World because it's like celebrities and not true comics. And
sure.
Blah, 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 blah. Wizard World Columbus was like awesome. It used to be awesome. When Walking Dead was. I mean, it still does very well, but when it was like the biggest thing on the planet, they had guests for like 5 years. They got Adam West, they got Burt Ward, they got the Batmobile. The last time I went was like 2015, and I posted a bunch of pictures about this. And the LCS by my work is like in the convention center where Wizard World Columbus comes. And this year, like I went in there, no advertising at all. I didn't even know until Saturday it was Wizard World Columbus.
Oh, wow.
And then I talked to the guys at Heroes and Games, and I was like, guys, WTF. Wizard World Columbus, I didn't even know it was going on. And they're like, yeah, it was horrible. I was like, did they have comic dealers there? And they were like, sorta. I was like, did they even have 10 dealers there? And they were like, maybe. I mean, that's just a colossal disaster.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess the belt has tightened for Wizard World. Up until like 2015, I had a lot of fun at their Wizard World Columbus shows. But I'd have to ask around for. We have good local shows around here, but they are so indie. I don't even know if it would be worth the trip for SourcePoint Press, though. Technically,
we did Cincinnati Comic-Con or Cincinnati Comic Expo. That was a good show. They've had some shows up in Columbus. They had Fantastic Con in Toledo. I know Springfield has the Champion City Con. That's a one-day show, usually on a Sunday, end of October. But in Indy, you've got the main Comic-Con there, which does very well. In Pennsylvania, you get a ton of shows, especially Philly and Pittsburgh. One I'm hearing about is in West Virginia, Tri-Cities Con. I'm hearing a lot of good things about
I've heard of that
convention.
one. I haven't been to it, but it's definitely the ones I definitely want to hit.
Yeah, I'd like to hit there next year. And if I can, I'd like to try to get to the Big O Con near Omaha. I know some people out that way, but I think it's more in Council Bluffs. So if you're familiar with that area, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good con. I'm trying to get back to C2E2 next year, which would be a really good event because Steve Bryant will be there, who did the variant cover for our comic book. Just be great to meet him face to face for the first time. We've talked online for forever and a day, so it'd be great to meet him.
The Toledo show did well for you?
Fantasticon?
Yeah.
I always hear that that's a good show. I've never heard anything bad about Toledo Fantasticon. I know they're Source Point Press. I think they're in Rhode Island this week.
Yeah.
They also got a show up in Akron. I was there last year. That was a good show. The only thing was on Sunday the Browns had a game, and that really, I mean, you got a lot of Browns faithful up there, man. But it was a good show. I mean, Saturday we killed it. Sunday got a little bit slow because of football, but still a good crowd.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these. I'm primarily a reader, but just like being around the hobby, I do speculate, and I do okay speculating.
I'm terrible. I suck.
Reach for the stars, but a lot of the Midwestern cons, you can find really good books.
Yes,
people aren't aware of and or get deals on. And I mean that's a motivating factor to attend Midwestern Comic-Cons. Lexington Comic-Con in Kentucky. I've gotten some great buys there. On some keys like New Mutants 98, Batman Adventures 12, things like that. So
I've been to the one in Louisville. I heard that one was good too, but the one in Louisville is the only one I've ever been to in Kentucky.
Louisville's a great city. I'll go to. I've been to a Wizard World Louisville before. Why did I go to Wizard World Louisville? I think it was just taking the city. Did I do anything? I don't think I did anything other than it was an excuse to submit books to CGC and take.
They show up to quite a few shows. I've seen them in quite a few shows for comic.
They're everywhere, really. Yeah.
They make a presence at any show they can, and they get a ton of business.
Yeah, they have an army of representatives.
Yeah, it's just one of those things you see at a show, and they're everywhere. Just going to shows all over the U.S., you definitely see people kind of just represent smaller, comic book stores from different cities, but you also see people would just have their own comic book collection. They're selling it from show to show, sort of like independent traveling comic book companies or comic book salespeople, and it's really interesting to see who's out there at the shows.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it all, in terms of for cons. How many cons on average you think you might go to for 2019? What do you think you hit?
Maybe 8 to 10 this year.
Wow, that's still a lot.
Try to hit about 10 to 12 a year. But with Michigan, there's always plenty of shows. Indiana's got its fair share of shows. Same with Ohio, Wisconsin, Illinois. Just being in this area in the Midwest, there's no shortage of shows. And if, like I said, you get into Pennsylvania, I mean, Pittsburgh's got some shows. I know they're building, I think it's the Three Rivers Con.
Three Rivers Con, yeah.
They're really building that up. And you're going to hear some other shows kind of go by the wayside, but some other shows are really stepping up, and they're getting bigger and better every year.
Which is good. Me personally, I prefer Baltimore Comic-Con. It's one of the bigger cons that really puts a focus on, comic books, the source. I mean, they still have, the media stars or whatever, but the majority of the talent that is there is comic book, which is why I love it so much.
Yeah. What did you say?
Was that your first year there, Tony?
No,
this year? You've been there many times?
Many times. It's
wow. Okay.
If I go to any con in a year, I got to go to Baltimore.
Okay.
So, my wife and I just had our first baby, so I couldn't go to as many cons this year, so I had to go to Baltimore.
I'd like to get to more East Coast shows. I mean, they talk about, I think it's Awesome Con in DC. I mean, the New York Comic-Con is huge. Boston's got a great fan expo. Those are the ones you kind of want to hit on the East Coast, along with some of the cons in Philly.
Yes, you're right. Speaking of Philly, that one's kind of dying, but one that's replacing it is called Keystone Comic-Con. It's still in Philly, so you could call it Philly Comic-Con. But this is their second year that they had it. They sold all their. It was a complete sellout, so it was super successful. They've got it all. I can't remember who was there comic book wise, but they've definitely had some AAA talent there for sure. So if you're ever in that area, definitely check out Keystone Comic-Con.
Yeah, that's definitely one I've heard good things about from other people at SourcePoint Press.
Yeah, and it's surprisingly affordable too, until it explodes, and then there'll be a 4-year waiting list, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
All the YouTubers descended on Baltimore Comic-Con this year.
And I didn't know that. I just was there because I'm always there, and I just happened to run into the Comic Core, JB from Discovery Bay Comics. So I thought they were just there being, fans, but here they are. They got a booth, and they're hanging out and having a great time.
Well, do you dig much there, Tony?
I'm sorry?
Are you buying books there much?
Oh, yeah. But I'm starting to narrow down my focus. Before I was just like, cool. Yep. Here's some cash. I'll take this, that. But there's a couple of runs I'm trying to finish up. My 73 Shazam list is definitely on top of that. But if I see a bargain, I'm definitely buying.
Well, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I mean, with Baltimore Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con being so close together, I always worry about the not getting deals. Whereas in these smaller Midwestern Comic-Cons, I mean, it sounds bad, but I mean, you want a deal, you want to get the book for the lowest price.
Yeah, I don't want to take a second mortgage on my home for a book that I want. I understand that, but a pro about Baltimore is, you know what? It's really close to New York City Comic-Con, but their con exclusives are the exact same one as New York Comic-Con. So I don't have to run to New York Comic-Con to get these exclusives. I can get them at Baltimore, just by showing up. But you're right about Midwest cons. There's a lot of good ones out there that not a whole lot of people know about. But I will shout out SuperCon, SOUIX, SuperCon, because it's held in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Hardly anybody knows about it. John Ostrander goes there. That's how cool it is. And you can find anything you want. They have it, at the arena there. There's probably a bajillion square feet and is loaded with dealers. It is insane. I love going there.
Did you read Deceased, Tony?
Yes. I've got the Detective Chimp variant. Zombie Monkey.
Yeah. I was tempted to buy all the covers from that, but what'd you think of the series?
What's nice is it stands alone. It's obviously not continuity. It's just a quick story, 6 issues. Loved it. It is super cool. It is their take on Marvel zombies kind of did their thing, but this is DC answer to that. I very enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I didn't love it, but it was good, and the last issue was killer.
Yeah, I mean, no spoilers, but I think it was issue 5 when the Flash had to be dealt with, and it was kind of awesome how he was dealt with, without spoiling anything. But it was a lot of fun to read.
I need to check out issue 5 again. Issue 5 actually has Sergeant Rock on one of the covers, I think.
I might be thinking 4 then, because when Flash became a problem and took off, obviously there's only one person that could catch him. So, and it was a classic, take on the meeting of those two characters. It was a zombified version. It was pretty cool. Very cool. I definitely think DC, made some cash on it for sure. I really enjoy Tom Taylor's writing for sure. Very awesome. Good book. Good book.
All right, we're at 454, 455. Any closing comments, gentlemen? No. Yes. No.
This has been great. Thanks for having me on, Dan. Love the show. Hope to be on some future episodes. Talk more about comics. Hopefully, get my reading pile up to your level one day. It's a dream. Hopefully, I can flip and speculate on comics and do what you can do. Love comics and beer. It's a great idea. Love the reading pile. Thank you for all the support you've given me. Really appreciate that. I mean, that's really been awesome, dude.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone check out Source Point Press too as well. I put the link in the chat.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, TD, checking out your stuff has been just very organic because, I mean, we're bros, and it was just like, wow, TD's getting stuff published by Source Point Press. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to expect more from them in 2020. I mean, they've got some good stuff in the works, and from what I've seen, it's going to be another big hit for them.
Oh, Gamma, we just talked about the Deceased, bro.
I think the live might be a little bit behind, but that's all right. But hey, man, I'm going to check out your book. I was just in Baltimore. I did see the Source Point booth. I think if I would have known, I would have stopped and picked up a book.
Yeah, but
now I'm curious.
Yeah, get us through previews. We've got some great stuff coming through. Paul Story, who's one of our writers, he does a story called The Viking Queen. I think his Gotham Girls series that he did for DC is getting, I think it's getting a reissue. So it's something worth checking out as well. So we've been working with people who've been all over the industry.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Everybody check out his stuff. I know I'm definitely going to check it out. And you said it comes out in my LCS August of next year is what you said, or July?
Yeah, I know it's late 2020 release. I'll keep everyone posted.
Okay.
You guys can follow me at Champion City Comics on Instagram and Doug Wright on Facebook. Learn more about what I do, kind of see where I'm heading. Like I said, I'll be at the Grand Rapids Comic-Con. It's a great show. Ton of great creators are going to be at that show, and Source Point Press is going to have a huge presence.
Awesome. I wish you best of luck. I definitely wish I was. The only times I ever wish I was, in your area. Growing up a Viking, I'm not welcome in your state.
That's all bad. I'm an Ohio State fan. I live in Michigan, so it's
okay. Well, there you go. That's all right.
TD, how long have you been in Michigan now? Has it been 10 years?
No, it's been closer to 20.
God damn.
I moved up there April 2000. So it's been a while.
So if you could get the job at the Ohio Historical Society, would you take it?
No, it's nothing again.
You're set. Yeah.
We have a nice house, and my kids have a lot of friends, and this is, we've kind of made this our home. So it's a really nice area. It's nothing against the Ohio Historical Society. It's just this is home.
All right, so I guess we're wrapping it up. Well, Tony, you got another show to do, bud.
I do. Come check it out. It's going to be cool talking to some collectors, but I definitely want to thank Mr. Piercy for putting this together and giving us a chance to give you some spotlight. And it's good to interact with everybody. But everybody, Dan Piercy he's on YouTube, he's on Instagram, but he's also on the CBCS forums too. If you want to talk graded books with him, check out his blog on Reading Pod. What is it? On CBCI. Help me out, Dan.
No,
where can I find the blog?
I haven't written an article since August, and I think I'm going to do my focus more towards this. Nothing against my CBSI comic bros, but I think I'm going to change focus. I did that for a year, and
there you go.
I got really good. I got really good at grammar and punctuation in that year.
That's good. But it was good. If everyone has any questions about Dan Piercy's comic collection, I actually interviewed him It seems like forever ago, but I think it was even just early this year.
Nah, it was this summer, I think.
Yeah, it was this summer. Yeah, but he's got some cool keys that I know I'm super jealous of. So definitely give his collection a look. But
all right, so this concludes this episode. We're focusing on the 3 B's for this show: books, booze, and BS. I've been calling Tony Fett, my co-host, and I'm hoping to get something together for next week. If you're on board, Tony,
count me in. I'm there. Count me in.
Well, okay, cool. And TD, Tony Doug Wright, really appreciate it.
Thanks, dude.
Bros, I appreciate it, man.
We'll see each other at a con in the not too distant future.
Cool.
Yeah, if you're in that area, definitely stop by a con, the Source Point press booth, and give Tony a high five.
That's right.
All right, we're out. Tony, I'll check into your broadcast. So
cool, man.
We'll talk. We'll talk later.
Awesome.
So,
all right, thanks for having us, man.
All right, see you guys.
Thank y'all and thank everyone.
Thank you.